Hey guys, it's Maymay, and today we're going to be downright negative. Don't worry, it won't be negative. It'll positively be negative. So today's Stampin' Saturday, and we're going to stamp. We're going to play with some dies and some embossing and some stamps. I thought this would be fun. I wanted to try it. What I'm going to do to start with is this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock that I cut down to 4 by 5 1/4 pieces. So I got 4 out of that cardstock with very little waste on the side. And we're going to put these through our Cuttle Bug and die cut them. Now, what those are is they are full-size fronts of cards. And I'm going to use some dies like these kind of big, chunky, solid dies. And I'm going to play with the negative space. But you could get 2 cards out of this when we finish because you'll have a die cut and a negative space. All that'll make sense in a second. All right, so I'm going to put in my plates. I have a plate here that goes on the bottom, okay? I have a C plate for cutting, and then I have a B plate. And notice I don't care which way I cut my plates. That's why they look like this. They all work the same. All right, so I've got that there. I'm going to add one of my pieces of cardstock. Now, you could totally do this with your magnetic cutting platform. I'm just not. I'm just grabbing these guys out and going to lay this here just like this, and then I'm going to place one of my die cut shapes. I'm going to start with the bunny somewhere on the card front. Now remember, we're working with a whole card front, and I think this is kind of cute down here in this bottom corner. So I'm going to cut him out right there. So let's run this guy through the Cuttle Bug. The idea is I'm going to decorate behind the cutout of the bunny. So that's why I said we're going to be working in the negative. We're going to work in the negative space. So when I've done this, I have this little bunny that I'm going to pop out, and I can use that for a different project. So I'm going to put that one aside. And what I want to work with is this space. So I'm going to leave that one for the next step. But now I want to do it with some different dies as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put this guy back in here. And I think I'm going to do this Easter egg. So I'm taking another piece of that white, and I'm going to lay it onto my C plate. And I'm going to use this Easter egg right up here at the top. I'm just going to kind of center it in the top. I'm not going to stress if it's not perfect, but I think that looks good right there. And remember, I'm just going to be getting that chunky shape. I'm not worried about the frilly designs in the middle. That can be used for a different project. So here we go. We have our negative that I was looking for. I'm going to put that one aside. And here's our positive we can use on something else. Now, you might be wondering, well, wait, where did all those cuts come from? This is a die and stencil. So what you do is you cut your shape, and then you can ink on top of this to get the pretty images. So that's what they mean by die and stencil combo. That's what that is. I'm going to put that aside because I'm not going to use it anymore. Now, doing the same thing again, I'm going to put a piece of my card front in. This is a basket piece. I'm going to put it toward the top. I think that'll be pretty right there. Kind of straight if I can get it. If it's not perfect, I'm not stressing. I just don't do perfect. I just like to play. So there we go. Put that one in, cut it out. Now this one I'm going to save all the negative. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. Not all the negative, most of the negative. All right, I'm going to sit this down here so I can show you what I mean. This is a pretty intricate cut, okay? But I want to save this middle piece to put on my card when I'm finished. So I'm going to hold that piece out. And then see, I've got the shape of the basket cut into our card front. We've got the negative space. I'm going to put that aside. And then the other thing I want to save are these 2 pieces just popped out right there, which are going to kind of give the basket handle some shape. So I'm going to save those as well. All that'll make sense as we get going. And then the rest of this dude, this basket here, I can use for a different project. I don't even have to use it on this project. Now, I know it's springtime, but just for fun, I'm going to do a fall leaf just to show you how you can do this for any season. I'm going to put this leaf kind of down here in the bottom and then cut it out. Still using the card fronts, 4 by 5 1/4 size on the white. So now I have my positive and my negative. So here is my leaf shape I can use for another project. And this is what I want from this one. Now I've got 2 pieces of 8.5 by 11 cardstock. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this into card bases. I know it seems like we've used a lot of cardstock so far, but we really haven't. This is going to make 3 sheets of cardstock we've used, and we're going to get 4 cards out of it. So I'm going to cut these down the middle at 4 1/4. I typically like for my cards to kind of stand up like that. So now this gets me 4 A2 card bases. So we're going to make 4 cards using 3 sheets of cardstock. So using my embossing tool, I'm going to score it 5.5 inches. Okay, I'm going to fold it back on top of itself into my scoring tool. I find that this really helps me get nice straight card scores, and then just crease that down. And I'm going to do that with all the pieces. So score, fold, and then crease. If you don't have one of those fancy scoreboards, watch this. Fold this paper in half, line up the bottom where you want it, push to the center. That's how I like to do it, like this. And then use something. It doesn't have to be a bone folder. Let me show you. I can just take a ballpoint pen and just crease out like this. And I get the same, pretty much the same. It's a little bit different. It's not quite as crisp, but who's going to, critique that? Are there greeting card police? I don't think so. Okay, now for the fun. Now I'm working a lot with white cardstock with this project. So I've zoomed you in probably as close as I can get you, and I'm going to start with the bunny. We're going to do this one first. This piece is going to mount on top of this piece, just like so. So I'm kind of laying it matted in a little bit. Remember, I cut this white mat on the top 1/4 of an inch smaller, so I've got a little bit of a border. And what I want to do is take a pencil and just kind of trace where this guy is. And I'm going to very lightly let myself know where this bunny is. Like, you could trace the whole thing if you needed to. I'm not going to. I'm just going to very lightly do this. Now, you really want to do this as light as possible, because once we do this next step, you might still be able to see this little tracing that we're doing, but I'm not going to stress too awful much if you can. Okay, so now I'm going to pull this away, and I'm going to erase any that I got onto my bunny negative here. Okay, so we're left with this. This lets me know exactly where that bunny is going to live. I don't really need to do this, but I'm just going to kind of do this to let myself know that corner, where it's going to live on our card front. We're going to be inking this with a stamp. This is a stamp from my stamp set called Relic, and I love this stamp, but I'm going to tell you where my inspiration came from. It was looking up things to do with these Oxide inks. They are beautiful inks, and I have been playing with them like crazy. And we're going to make a colorful stripy bunny using this paint splash piece from Relic and this bunny. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ink this stamp with my Oxide inks, which are gorgeous, by the way. These colors are so rich and vibrant. And starting at the bottom of the bunny, I'm going to stamp right over that penciled piece that we put in. Don't worry, this will make sense as we get into it. I'm also taking some paper towels, and in between, I'm using some Squeaky Clean. This is my favorite stamp cleaner. I put some on some paper towel, and let me close this up so I don't get in it because I want you to see this. I actually do this off of my work surface, but in between, I'll just rub my stamps like this to clean them so I can go to the next color. Now I'm going to take some worn lipstick using the same image. I'm going to ink it up, and I'm going to go right above that one and stamp again. Now all I'm making sure I'm doing is that my color's running on and off of the image. So we're going to have to kind of follow the path here, but it'll be super easy to do. So there's the worn lipstick. Let's go to the broken china. I have not even started playing with these like mixed media. I just love how well they stamp, and so I've just been stamping with them, but they're gorgeous. So now there's that one, and you can see here because of the shape of my bunny, I'm going to have to move over a little bit with my next color. And I'm doing this really slow. If I were doing this fast, I would just open all my inks and just go and, get it finished. But because I'm showing you guys and I want you to see every step, I'm closing my inks in between. All right, and now I'm going to move over a little bit, still covering my bunny shape. See that? We're keeping in the bunny shape. And then this will probably be the last one. We may have to do one more, but I'll see if this covers the whole bunny here. We got so close. I'm going to do one more just to be sure the whole bunny is all colored. So I'm going to go back to the first color again, which is Cracked Pistachio. I'm just going to ink up the bottom of that really because I don't need the whole thing. Just like this, and grab that little piece of bunny ear I missed. Good, he's all covered. So while this is drying, I'm going to work on this guy. And I'm going to use a stamp from my set called Risen that says Happy Easter. I love this image. And we're going to stamp it right at the top. So let me put it down onto a block. And I think I'm going to pull one of those same colors out. I think I'm going to do the broken china. So I'm going to use it and ink up Happy Easter. And then right above that bunny, I'm going to stamp that. Look how pretty and crisp. Oh, those inks are gorgeous. All right, now we need to let that dry for a second. Now I'm going to take this front piece and I'm going to put on some foam squares. So I'm going to start in the corners here. And then around the bunny itself, I want to make sure it has plenty of support because I want that to stay lifted up from the color. So I'm just going to run some of these around these edges like so. So now I have all my foam squares exposed on the back. And I want to show you something. If you need a little extra time, like if you might need to wiggle this into place, if you'll take some wet glue and put on those foam squares, you can give yourself a little wiggle room. Now I'm using art glitter glue, so it's going to be a very little amount of wiggle room. But I will get some in case I need to just kind of move this into place a tiny bit. So just some extra glue on there. And now this just needs to line up over the bunny where we traced it, just like so. Look how cute that is. I love it. So cute. Get everything pressed nice down. And it's a simple card, but look how beautiful. And I love how that bunny looks in that hole, right? Wouldn't it be cute if you added like a pom-pom or something else to like decorate your bunny? I may come back and add a bow. I think it needs one. But for now, I want to work on those other cards too. Now I'm going to move on to the leaf one. But before I trace this leaf onto my card front, I'm going to run it through an embossing folder. I want to add another element of texture to this. And I'm afraid if I trace it and then emboss it, it's going to kind of change the shape or get distorted a little bit. So I want to make sure that I have embossed it first to give it some texture. Now embossing is 2 B plates and an A plate. And this is just a honeycomb embossing folder. I thought it would be pretty on there. You could have done this with the bunny too. I just didn't. I wanted to try something different on this one. Look how pretty that is like that, right? Okay, so now let's start our stamping. So back to the card front. This is our same, just like we cut earlier. And then this will lay right here. So what I need to do is trace that leaf. Now I'm just going to erase any that I got onto the front. I don't think I got a lot this time. I did on that last one. And then this is a very faint image of that leaf. It lets me know where it lives. It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to go back to the relic stamp, but this time I'm going to use this one that's stripy right here. I think that'll be really pretty in this leaf. So for this card, for the leaf, I'm going to use Pill Paint, Fired Brick, Spice Marmalade, and Vintage Photo. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to be able to get all of these into this image. I think I can. We'll see. If I don't, we'll start with whatever we get. I'll bring that where you guys can see it, and then I'll ink up off the screen if I need to. So that's using that peeled paint, and I'm going to come in at an angle and start at the bottom here. Now there is something you need to be cautious of, and let me lift this up and I'll show you. Because you've left a matte edge to show around the white, we need to make sure we don't get too close to the edge with our stamps because that will show through. So I want to stay where it'll stay hidden behind that piece that I'm doing. All right, so there's peeled paint. I don't think I'm going to get all 4 of these in. I think we might get 3. So now I'm going to do Fired Brick. Again, staying away from that edge, but still getting all of my leaf covered. Just like that. And I want the orange, so I'm going to go ahead to the Spice Marmalade here. I'm still cleaning in between, just using my little paper towel with Squeaky Clean on it, wiping that away. And then right to the top of this leaf, I think this is going to cover the whole thing. Yep, got it all in there. This is the piece that's going to go on top. And because I embossed it, I'll put a sentiment after the fact. But look how pretty that's going to be behind there. Oh, it's so pretty. All right, let's mount this one with some more foam squares. Actually, let's don't. Since we embossed this one, let's just put it down flat. I'm just going to put some glue on the back. And since it's got that embossed texture already, let's don't even lift it up. Cool beans. Okay, now I'm just going to line this up over where my pencil marks were. Kind of get me back where I go here. Very good. That is so pretty, having that beautiful pop of color underneath there. Isn't that pretty? I love that. This needs a great fall sentiment. Now for what I think will be the hardest one. Let's do this guy. We're going to go ahead and trace. I'm not going to worry about embossing this one because there's very little white space left on this one. So I'm going to trace it onto the front of our card. So I'm just going to lay that down where it's going to be when we're finished. Something like that. I'm going to trace. I'm actually going to make tick marks. I don't think I need all the tracing. I just need to know that I'm getting all of the spaces covered. Now this time I'm really going to play. I'm going to use that piece that looks like a piece of frayed burlap. I'm going to use that stamp. So back to that relic stamp set. Pull that guy out and put it on a block. And I'm going to use different colors again. I'm going to use some vintage photo, some faded jeans, and some worn lipstick. Those will be really cute together. Let's start with the worn lipstick. Ink up my stamp. And this time, I'm just going to stamp inside of that spot, just making sure I'm covering the basket. I'm not going to worry about them crossing over or overlapping. We're just going to have fun. So as a matter of fact, I'm going to open all of these real quick, since you kind of know what we're up against. And I'm just going to go to town. You could even stamp these like all at one time, like do a blue here, and then maybe do a blue here, like so, and then maybe do some blue in the middle. I'm just going to go a little crazy. So I've pretty much covered that whole area, and now I'm going to bring our solid piece back over. That looks like a big mess, doesn't it? It'll be cute, I promise. All right, so I'm going to lay the basket in. Look how cute it is already. And we're not done, because remember, we saved those other pieces. I'm going to show you what's going to happen there. We're going to adhere them down at the top to give our basket its handle, just like so. And of course, I'll make that straight when I glue it down. I just want to show you. And then these pieces, ooh, I need to probably just glue all this in place because I'm wiggling. Then these pieces, I'm going to let live right where they would on the basket. Remember on the basket, they had this pretty kind of two-pieced handle. So that piece will get glued there. And then this piece will get glued here. This is going to be super cute. And if you're not sure, you can refer back to your die cut and just match up what it looked like. So I'm going to glue these down real quick. I think I'm going to glue this one flat down. Since I did all the foam tape on the other ones, let's just glue this one flat. This one's really fun to me. Again, this is kind of like developing pictures. You know how when you just never know exactly what you're going to get until you get to that final spot? That's what this reminds me of, kind of developing photos. Now look at our pretty little basket. Isn't that super cute like that? And now that I've done it, I think what I should have done, and this is an idea for later, this white piece, before I put it in, I could have stamped it with like some eggs or some flowers, and it would have looked like they were inside the basket. But I'm going to leave it like that for now. You can still stamp something in there, but for now, I'm going to stamp Happy Easter at the bottom. I'm going to use faded jeans since I use that in the basket color. I'm just going to stamp Happy Easter. Just like so. Oh, how cute. That part. All right, we have one left, and I'm just going to turn on some music and let you see this one go, because I don't think you'll need to hang around for it too much, because we're going to do it exactly the same. But this time I think I'm going to mix up my stamps. I think I'm going to use several different ones and see what we get. So look how cute that one turned out. It's like a little decorated egg. And I'm going to take some of this Nouveau Glitter Accents, and I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to add some dots of glitter here and there to our Easter egg. And I think that'll be cute to give it a little shimmer and shine. You could do this with colored glitters too. That would be super cool. So let's look back at all of them. Now, remember, this was only 3 sheets of white cardstock, 8.5 by 11 cardstock. We did all of that with that, except for one thing. I did cut this piece from a different little scrap that I had, the little sentiment here, but all of this was done from the same. How cute, right? I love this one, probably my favorite. I think, you know, I always have a favorite. I love this one. I really actually love how the basket turned out too. Isn't that super cute? But what a fun way to play with your stamps and work in the negative. I'm trying to stay away from that glitter that's not dry. We used several stamp sets today because we used relic. We also used resin, and I think that's it. Yeah, relic and resin. So if you have these two, you can make any of these. And don't forget those Oxide inks, which are amazing. I will link all the products in the blog post that I link below. So if you'll click on that blog post, it'll have photos of these guys and all the products that I used. Hey, thanks so much for watching today, guys. I hope you enjoyed playing around in the negative space. And don't forget your positive pieces, because you can totally use those for things as well. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.